Right now, somewhere in the world, a woman is living in luxury with billions of dollars she stole from millions of people. She's the only woman on the FBI's top 10 most wanted list. There's a $5 million reward for information leading to her capture. And despite international manhunts across 7 countries, despite Interpol red notices, despite the fact that she orchestrated one of the largest financial frauds in human history, nobody has seen her in over 6 years. Her name is Dr. Ruja Ignatova. And before she disappeared, she convinced 3.5 million people to invest in a cryptocurrency that never existed. She threw parties with champagne fountains and fireworks displays in packed arenas. She wore $250,000 necklaces and commissioned $7.5 million yachts. She promised ordinary families they'd become millionaires. Instead, she destroyed them. Some theories say she's living under a new identity in Dubai, protected by corrupt Saudi royals. Others claim her body was dismembered by Bulgarian mafia and thrown into the Mediterranean Sea. But what makes this story truly insane? If she's still alive, she might be holding USB drives containing $20 billion in Bitcoin, making her one of the wealthiest criminals who ever lived. This is the story of OneCoin, a fake cryptocurrency, a pyramid scheme, a Ponzi scheme, and a multi-billion-dollar cult, all wrapped into one. This is the story of how an Oxford-educated businesswoman weaponized people's dreams, turned families against each other, and then vanished without a trace. And by the end, I'll reveal the shocking evidence about where she might be hiding right now and which powerful government might be protecting her. We're going to cover how Ruja built a fake blockchain that fooled millions, why she set up her own brother as the fall guy, and the chilling evidence about who might be protecting her today. Stay until the end, because the final discovery is something even investigators don't want to believe. 1980. A poor city in Bulgaria. Ruja Ignatova is born into a family with nothing. The Soviet Union still controls Eastern Europe. Her childhood is defined by scarcity, by broken systems, by watching her parents struggle. But at age 10, everything changes. Her family flees Bulgaria for Germany, chasing the promise of a better life in the West. And young Ruja is bright, exceptionally bright. She excels in school, earns top marks, impresses her teachers. But this intelligence comes with a darker edge. She begins to believe she's superior to everyone around her. She looks at her classmates, at her neighbors, at ordinary people living ordinary lives, and she feels contempt. More than anything, Ruja becomes obsessed with money. Not just comfortable, not just secure, but genuinely wealthy. She makes herself a promise. She will become a millionaire before she turns 30. This isn't a dream, it's a mission. It's an obsession that will eventually consume her and destroy millions of lives. She attacks her education with ruthless focus, full scholarship to a prestigious German university, then a PhD in law, then Oxford University, one of the most elite institutions on the planet. She's building credentials, building a resume, building the image of someone trustworthy and accomplished. With her Oxford degree and her impressive background, she lands positions that most people only dream about. McKinsey, one of the world's top consulting firms, brings her into their Bulgarian branch. She's advising Fortune 500 companies, working with executives who make more in a month than most people make in a lifetime. Then she moves to Bulgaria's largest investment company, where she's dealing with international banks, with politicians, with celebrities. She's well connected now. She's moving in circles of real power and real money. But there's a problem. She's 31 years old, and she's still not a millionaire. She broke her promise to herself. Worse, every single day she's surrounded by people who have the wealth she craves. She sees their luxury cars, their vacation homes, their effortless spending, and it drives her absolutely crazy. Then, in 2013, she discovers Bitcoin. At this point, Bitcoin is only a few years old, still mysterious to most people, still dismissed by traditional finance experts. But the price is starting to climb dramatically. And more importantly, stories are going viral. Stories about ordinary people who bought Bitcoin when it was nearly worthless and are now millionaires. $27 invested in 2009 turned into over $1 million. Regular people, people with no special education or connections, becoming wealthy overnight just by getting in early. Ruja studies Bitcoin obsessively. She learns the terminology, the technology, the hype cycle. And because of her financial background and her impressive credentials, she's suddenly in demand. She's invited to speak at cryptocurrency seminars across Europe. She stands on stages and explains blockchain technology to crowds of curious investors. She's articulate. She's confident. She has a PhD and an Oxford degree. People trust her. At one of these seminars in November 2013, a man named Sebastian Greenwood watches her speak. He sees how she commands attention, how she makes complex topics sound simple and exciting. After she leaves the stage, Sebastian pushes through the crowd to reach her, and he asks her a question that will change everything. Have you ever considered multi-level marketing? Sebastian Greenwood is an MLM veteran. He's already made money running multi-level marketing operations before, and he sees something that Ruja hasn't seen yet. A massive opportunity. Multi-level marketing works like this. You don't sell products through stores or traditional advertising. Instead, you recruit individual sellers who buy products and then resell them, earning commission on every sale. But here's the key. You also recruit more sellers underneath you, and you earn commission on everything they sell. And when they recruit people, you earn commission on those sales too. It creates a pyramid structure where people at the top make money from everyone below them. Now, most people who join MLMs don't make money. The mathematics guarantee that the vast majority lose money. But if you get in early, if you're near the top of the pyramid, you can become very wealthy. Sebastian sees the potential immediately. There are plenty of MLM companies. There are plenty of new cryptocurrency projects, but nobody has combined them yet. What if they created their own cryptocurrency and used multi-level marketing to sell it? Think about the mechanics. You have a network of sellers working on commission, all promoting the coin, all recruiting more sellers. This drives up perceived demand and hype, and the rising price of the coin attracts more sellers into the network. It's a self-reinforcing cycle, a feedback loop that could grow exponentially. Sebastian has MLM expertise. He knows how to structure compensation plans, how to recruit top sellers, how to run the pyramid. Ruja has the financial credentials and the polished professional image. She looks like someone you can trust. She sounds like an expert. She has the degrees on her wall. They decide to partner. They'll call it OneCoin. They develop their strategy carefully. They won't target tech-savvy crypto enthusiasts who actually understand blockchain technology. Instead, they'll target people who understand MLM, who want to get rich, who've heard about Bitcoin making people millionaires and are desperate not to miss out on the next big opportunity. But there's one significant problem with their plan. Neither Ruja nor Sebastian actually knows how to create a blockchain. They don't have the technical expertise. They don't have the team. They can't build real cryptocurrency infrastructure. But then they realize something crucial. This could actually be an advantage. If they don't have a real blockchain, they can control everything. They can set the price to whatever they want. They can create as many coins as they want. They can manipulate the entire system without the constraints of actual technology. Ruja will simply keep records on an SQL database, basically a glorified Excel spreadsheet. When someone buys OneCoin, she'll just change a number in a database. No blockchain, no cryptocurrency, no technology at all. Just lies. They register the company in Gibraltar and Dubai, jurisdictions known for light regulation. Ruja opens a physical office in her hometown in Bulgaria, and they prepare to launch. They announce that OneCoin will be the Bitcoin killer. Unlike Bitcoin's fixed supply of 21 million coins, OneCoin will have 2.1 billion coins available. It's bigger, better, built for mass adoption. But now they face a legal problem. The difference between legal multi-level marketing and an illegal pyramid scheme comes down to one thing: whether you're selling an actual product. Herbalife uses multi-level marketing, but they sell real physical products, so it's legal. But if you're just paying people to recruit other people with no actual product, that's a pyramid scheme. That's illegal. In 2014, cryptocurrency regulation barely exists. Governments and financial authorities don't know how to classify these digital assets yet. But Ruja and Sebastian don't want to risk attracting regulatory attention before they've made their money. So they create a loophole. Customers won't directly buy OneCoin. Instead, they'll buy educational packages. These packages contain PDF files with basic information about finance and investing. The material is poor quality, filled with spelling errors, much of it plagiarized from free online sources. But the content doesn't matter, because nobody is really buying these packages for the education. With each educational package, you receive free tokens which can be exchanged for OneCoin. The more expensive the package, the more tokens you get. The cheapest package might give you a few thousand tokens. The most expensive packages give you hundreds of thousands. This way, OneCoin is officially selling a product, these educational packages. It's technically legal. The fact that everyone is actually buying them for the OneCoin tokens is just a convenient bonus. Now they need to attract sellers. Ruja and Sebastian create an extremely generous commission structure designed to recruit an army of motivated salespeople. If you sell someone an educational package, you earn 10% commission immediately. But if you recruit someone else to become a seller, you earn 10% commission on all of their sales too. And if they recruit more people, you earn commission on those sales as well. It goes on indefinitely, creating a pyramid where people at the top make money from everyone they've recruited, and everyone those people recruited, and so on. 60% of commissions are paid in real money. The other 40% are paid in OneCoin. It's simple, it's lucrative, it's designed to incentivize aggressive recruiting. But the final twist that makes OneCoin different from every other MLM in history: you can also make money from OneCoin increasing in value over time. Ruja promises that soon, very soon, OneCoin will be listed on major cryptocurrency exchanges like Coinbase or Kraken. At that point, investors will be able to trade their OneCoin for real money at any time. They'll be able to cash out completely and become wealthy. This promise is the foundation of everything. This is what makes people believe. This is what makes them invest their life savings. And with this structure in place, with the promise of future wealth dangling in front of millions of desperate people, OneCoin launches. But the manipulation tactics they're about to deploy will make everything so far look like child's play. Because what Ruja understood better than almost anyone was the psychology of desperation. Ruja begins her pitch immediately, and it's devastatingly effective. She doesn't talk like a scam artist. She doesn't make wild promises or pressure people. Instead, she speaks like a serious businesswoman, like an Oxford-educated expert, like someone who genuinely understands financial systems. She explains that she's taken all of Bitcoin's problems and fixed them. Bitcoin is too complicated, she says. You need your own wallet. your own private keys. You need technical knowledge. OneCoin is simple. You just sign up on their website. Bitcoin is slow and inefficient as a currency. OneCoin is fast and designed for everyday transactions. Bitcoin is anonymous and used by criminals on the dark web. OneCoin is centralized and monitored, making it safe and legitimate. And most importantly, Bitcoin's founder is unknown, a mysterious figure called Satoshi Nakamoto who disappeared. But OneCoin's founder is right here, with a PhD from Oxford, with experience at McKinsey, with connections to Wall Street banks. Ruja transforms herself into Dr. Ruja, a persona carefully crafted for maximum trust and authority. She starts wearing bright red lipstick and designer dresses that demand attention. In videos, she prominently displays her university degrees on the wall behind her. She name-drops prestigious companies she's worked with. She talks casually about wealth, about success, about financial sophistication. She begins speaking at live events, hosting webinars, doing radio shows and interviews. She's everywhere, constantly promoting OneCoin, constantly building her personal brand, and her timing is perfect. At this exact moment, news stories are going viral about people who bought Bitcoin years earlier and are now millionaires. A man who spent $27 in 2009 now has over $1 million. A programmer who forgot about his Bitcoin finds his old wallet and discovers he's wealthy. These stories are everywhere, creating massive fear of missing out. Ruja exploits this fear ruthlessly. She tells people they already missed Bitcoin. That ship has sailed. But OneCoin is their second chance. It's early, it's better than Bitcoin, and if they don't get in now, they'll regret it for the rest of their lives. Meanwhile, Sebastian recruits top MLM sellers from his network, people who've made money in multi-level marketing before and know how to recruit effectively. Using their connections and OneCoin's promises of wealth, they begin building a massive sales organization. A lot of sales happen through parties, through lunch meetings, through direct messages on Facebook. Many people first hear about OneCoin from someone they know personally, someone they trust. A friend sends a simple message. Do you know about Bitcoin? Well, I just heard about a new cryptocurrency that's going to be even bigger. These people have no idea they're about to get their friends and family to invest in a massive fraud. But OneCoin's biggest sales channel is public events. They rent conference rooms and hotels, pack them with potential investors, and deliver high-energy presentations designed to create emotional urgency. They always remind the audience how they missed Bitcoin, how life-changing wealth was available just a few years ago, but they didn't act, how they can't afford to miss this opportunity too. This is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to get in early. Through emotional manipulation, through leveraging trust in friends and family, through fear of missing out, through the perceived authority of Dr. Ruja's credentials, people from all over the world start buying OneCoin packages, and those people tell other people, and momentum begins to build. The combination is devastatingly effective. Ruja's polished presentation and impressive background make everything seem legitimate. The emotional manipulation at live events creates urgency. The MLM structure turns every customer into a motivated salesperson. And there's one more tactic that cements OneCoin's credibility in many people's minds. Ruja distributes copies of Forbes magazine with her own face on the cover. People see this and think, how could this be a scam if she's featured in Forbes? It's one of the most respected business publications in the world. But it's another lie. Ruja simply paid for an advertisement in the Bulgarian version of Forbes. The ad appeared several pages into the magazine. She then tore off the first few pages, making it look like she was the cover story. And since it was in Bulgarian, most people couldn't read the small disclaimer explaining it was a paid advertisement. Just like everything about OneCoin, it looks legitimate on the surface, but it's completely fake underneath. Some skeptics start raising questions online. A few websites and commenters point out red flags. But OneCoin leaders dismiss all criticism as haters. They tell investors that jealous people who missed out are trying to destroy OneCoin because they're envious. The cult-like following trusts Ruja blindly. They've been taught not to trust outsiders, and OneCoin continues growing at an astonishing rate. But what nobody realizes yet is that OneCoin is actually multiple different frauds combined into one massive scam. First, it's a Ponzi scheme. The only way OneCoin can pay commissions to early investors is by using money from new investors. There's no actual business generating revenue. It's purely a transfer of money from later victims to earlier victims. Second, it's a fake cryptocurrency scam. OneCoin isn't a real digital currency. There's no blockchain despite all of Ruja's claims. It's just a database with made-up numbers using crypto terminology to confuse people and create hype. Third, since there's no actual product, just worthless PDF files, it's also a pyramid scheme. The entire structure depends on recruiting more people, not on selling legitimate products. But what makes this truly sinister? Ruja and Sebastian are already discussing what happens if they get caught. Ruja's solution is simple: disappear and let someone else take the blame. She's already planning her escape before OneCoin has barely started. She just needs to set up the right fall guy first. By November 2014, OneCoin is ready for its first major public event. Investors pack into a hotel conference room, excited to hear Dr. Ruja speak about the future of their investment. And Ruja makes two massive announcements that send the crowd into a frenzy. First, in just 2 months, OneCoin will be listed on their own internal exchange called Xcoin Exchange. Investors will finally be able to trade OneCoin for real money. Second, OneCoin's price is now set at 50 cents per coin. The audience erupts. People immediately pull out their phones and start calculating. A €5,000 educational package includes 48,000 OneCoin tokens. At 50 cents per coin, that's €24,000 worth of OneCoin. They'd nearly quintuple their money instantly. People scramble to buy packages after this announcement. By Christmas, 10,000 people have purchased packages worth millions of euros in total. Then in January alone, OneCoin does 15 million in sales. That same month, the Xcoin exchange officially launches. For the first time, people can theoretically trade their OneCoin for real money. But there's a catch that should have raised massive red flags. Investors can only withdraw a maximum of 1.5% of their OneCoin per day. And there's an upper withdrawal limit. You can't just cash out everything at once. Ruja claims this is temporary. She says she's worried about a bank run, about too many people selling at once and crashing the price. She frames these restrictions as protecting investors, but the truth is far more sinister. People can only cash out tiny amounts because OneCoin is a Ponzi scheme. The company is using money from new investors to pay earlier investors. If everyone tried to withdraw at once, the entire fraud would collapse immediately. There simply isn't enough money. This is also why OneCoin isn't listing on popular cryptocurrency exchanges like Coinbase or Kraken. Those platforms would require actual blockchain technology and transparency. Instead, OneCoin uses its own internal exchange, Xcoin Exchange, which Ruja has complete control over. This control allows Ruja to manipulate the price however she wants. She simply changes numbers in a database. There's no real market forces, no supply and demand. She decides OneCoin is worth 50 cents, so it's worth 50 cents. But investors don't mind the withdrawal restrictions because they believe OneCoin's price will keep rising. Why sell now at 50 cents per coin when it might be worth $5 or $50 soon? The fear of missing out on future gains keeps people from demanding their money back. Throughout 2015, OneCoin grows beyond anyone's expectations. 60 million euros in sales in March, 85 million in April. Then, the growth rate accelerates even faster in May when Ruja announces OneCoin's price has doubled to €1.80 per coin. Investors watch their balance on the OneCoin website jump dramatically. They're watching their apparent wealth multiply. They have no idea that OneCoin's value is just Ruja inventing random numbers. But these regular price increases serve a crucial purpose. They ensure investors don't want to withdraw their money. Why cash out when the price is climbing so fast? The fear of missing out keeps people hooked. OneCoin also introduces more expensive educational packages. The Premium Trader package costs €12,500 and includes tokens worth roughly €40,000 in OneCoin at current prices. Yes, €12,000 is a lot of money, but people can see on the exchange that they'd be getting €40,000 worth of OneCoin. It seems like an incredible deal. OneCoin's events become larger and more elaborate. They're packing out arenas now with thousands of attendees. There are music performances, fireworks, chanting crowds. It feels like a movement, like a financial revolution. At these events, OneCoin celebrates the top sellers in their pyramid. These are people at the top of the structure who are now earning hundreds of thousands of euros per month from commissions. OneCoin publicly gifts them Rolex watches, partly to reward them, but mostly to inspire lesser sellers to work harder, recruit more people, sell more packages. To many investors, OneCoin becomes more than a financial investment. It becomes a family, a community, an identity. At events, people discuss their dreams. They talk about the mansions they'll buy, the vacations they'll take, the debts they'll pay off when OneCoin finally goes public on a major exchange. Because that's the promise Ruja keeps making. Very soon, OneCoin will be listed on Coinbase or another major platform, and at that point, everyone can cash out completely. Investors create a hand signal, forming an O with their finger and thumb to show they're part of the OneCoin family. They post photos on social media flashing this sign, celebrating their future wealth. By October 2015, OneCoin's price has risen again, this time to around $2.50 per coin. And by November, exactly 1 year after launching their exchange, OneCoin hits €1 billion in total sales. Money is flooding in faster than they can handle. Ruja buys a luxury apartment in Hong Kong for the sole purpose of storing cash. The apartment is packed floor to ceiling with physical currency from investors around the world. Thanks to their network of thousands of sellers, each recruiting more sellers, OneCoin grows exponentially. And to maintain pressure to buy more, OneCoin frequently runs limited-time special offers on educational packages, creating artificial urgency. Investors don't question the massive rise in OneCoin's value because it makes sense to them. The hype is real. The community is growing. More people joining drives up the price, and the higher price attracts more people. It's a virtuous cycle. Plus, people desperately want to believe. For hundreds of thousands of regular people across the world, OneCoin represents hope. A family on a council estate in London invests £20,000, their entire savings. A single mother in Tennessee invests $100,000, money she'd saved for years. More than 50,000 Ugandans join, some selling their homes, their land, even their livestock to buy OneCoin packages. These aren't greedy people trying to get rich quick. These are desperate people hoping for a better life. These are parents trying to send their children to college. These are people drowning in debt, hoping for a way out. These are families in dangerous countries hoping to escape. Ruja exploits their hope. She weaponizes their dreams. And she's about to steal everything from them. But before she can complete her exit strategy, OneCoin's explosive growth creates serious problems. By the end of 2015, OneCoin is growing too fast for Ruja to control. Of all the money flooding in, 1/3 is paid out as referral commissions. This means tens of millions of euros must be transferred to over 100 different countries every month. Even with Ruja's financial background and banking connections, moving this much money attracts attention. Banks start getting suspicious. In one case, a bank in Dubai notices huge transactions flowing to accounts in the Cayman Islands, in Uganda, in Malta, all places notorious for money laundering and illegal financial activity. The bank freezes 50 million euros in OneCoin assets, leaving the company scrambling for cash. Ruja can't afford to have banks freezing her accounts. She needs a solution. She contacts a Saudi royal, a sheikh fascinated by new technology. Ruja convinces him to give her 4 USB drives containing 230,000 Bitcoin. At the time, this Bitcoin is worth around 50 million euros. In exchange, she gives the sheikh a large amount of OneCoin and ownership of her Dubai company. With his influence, he can pressure the bank to unfreeze the accounts. But Ruja still needs a more permanent solution to her banking problems. She needs someone who can move hundreds of millions of euros around the world without attracting regulatory attention, someone experienced in handling money for illegal operations. She reaches out to Gilbert Armenta, an international financial expert she knew from her earlier banking career. Gilbert has experience managing finances for less than legal companies. He knows how to hide money, how to move it across borders, how to avoid scrutiny. He becomes OneCoin's private banker, and he's fully aware of what Ruja is asking him to do. In his calendar, Gilbert writes that his first call with Ruja is to discuss money transfer and laundering issues. As they work together, Ruja and Gilbert grow closer, very close. Ruja starts having an affair with Gilbert, cheating on her husband. By the end of 2015, Ruja and Gilbert establish what becomes known as the Fiero Funds, 4 separate accounts in the British Virgin Islands and the Cayman Islands, each containing over 100 million euros. These accounts help Ruja move money around the world without banks asking difficult questions. It's essentially a 9-figure money laundering operation. Now Ruja is free to spend the money she's stealing. She wears necklaces worth hundreds of thousands of euros. She commissions a 7.5 million euro yacht for private parties. She buys a luxury apartment in London and a penthouse in Dubai. But even though Ruja has solved her money problems, by the end of 2015, she faces an even bigger crisis. She's running out of OneCoin to sell. When Ruja created OneCoin, she announced it had a fixed supply of 2.1 billion coins, mimicking Bitcoin's fixed supply model. She never imagined she'd actually sell that many coins. But growth has been so explosive that by mid-2016, she's already sold more than 2.1 billion OneCoin tokens. Now, investors believe OneCoin has its own blockchain, which would make it impossible to create more coins than initially programmed. If anyone discovers that OneCoin has sold more than the supposedly fixed supply, the entire fraud will be exposed immediately. On the other hand, if Ruja stops selling coins, no new money comes in. And without new money, she can't afford the tens of millions in commission payouts every week. The Ponzi scheme collapses. Ruja is trapped. Unless she finds a solution, everything will unravel. So Ruja comes up with an audacious plan. she'll announce a completely new blockchain with a dramatically larger supply. This one will have 120 billion coins instead of 2.1 billion. This plan is absolutely insane. Changing blockchains completely contradicts everything Ruja has said for years. She's told people repeatedly that OneCoin has a fixed supply that cannot be altered. She's literally stood on stage and said, "I cannot print more coins." But she has no choice. She needs more OneCoin to sell. In June 2016, OneCoin rents Wembley Stadium in London for a massive event. Thousands of investors pack the stadium. There are motivational speeches, hype men shouting about getting rich, massive screens and lighting displays. When Dr. Ruja walks on stage to Alicia Keys's "This Girl is on Fire" with pyrotechnic explosions, the crowd erupts in deafening cheers. They worship her. She's their leader, their guide to wealth. In her speech, Ruja projects confidence and vision. She says that within 2 years, nobody will even talk about Bitcoin anymore. OneCoin will be the dominant cryptocurrency. But to achieve this, she says, they need to upgrade their technology. She announces that in a few months, OneCoin will launch a completely new blockchain. It's more powerful, more secure, and instead of 2.1 billion coins, it will have 120 billion OneCoin available. This should trigger massive alarm bells. Dramatically increasing the supply of any currency or asset should cause its value to plummet. Basic economics dictates that if you multiply the supply by 57 times, the price per unit should collapse proportionally. But Ruja promises the price will stay the same. And as a thank you to loyal investors, everyone's OneCoin balance will be doubled when the new blockchain launches. The crowd goes absolutely insane. People are weeping with joy. They're posting on social media about their upcoming wealth. They're hugging strangers and celebrating. OneCoin investors are so excited about their coins being doubled that they don't stop to question the economic impossibility of what Ruja just announced. They don't question how increasing supply by 57 times while doubling everyone's holdings and maintaining the same price makes absolutely no sense. But wait, there's more. Ruja announces a new educational package, the Ultimate Trader Package for 118,000 euros. It's outrageously expensive. But Ruja emphasizes that coins will only be doubled this one time. If you want to maximize the benefit, you should buy as much OneCoin as possible right now, before the doubling happens. She claims this ultimate package will give you enough OneCoin to be worth 14 million euros once the new blockchain launches and your coins are doubled. People team up and take out loans to afford it. They're convinced they're about to become millionaires. In October 2016, OneCoin's new blockchain supposedly launches. Users log into their accounts and see their OneCoin balance has doubled, exactly as promised. Even better, OneCoin's price has increased again. Everything seems perfect. Everything seems legitimate. Of course, the reality is completely different. OneCoin's price is just a number Ruja invented. She periodically increases it to keep investors happy and prevent them from cashing out. And the doubling of coins was just Ruja changing numbers in a database. There is no blockchain. There never was. But most investors are too indoctrinated to question anything. They don't want to question it because when OneCoin finally goes public on a major exchange, they believe they'll be set for life. However, outside the OneCoin bubble, this latest stunt attracts serious attention. And what happens next will force Ruja to make the most consequential decision of her life. The massive growth of OneCoin brings increased scrutiny from skeptics. Online commenters point out that OneCoin's price always seems to go up, never fluctuates, never experiences the volatility that real cryptocurrencies do. They point out that expecting 300% returns within months is completely unrealistic. A website called Behind MLM works tirelessly to expose OneCoin, publishing detailed articles accusing it of being a gigantic Ponzi scheme. They break down the mathematics of the pyramid structure, explain why the promised returns are impossible, point out all the red flags. But even with these clear warnings, many people find it hard to believe that a billion-euro cryptocurrency with millions of investors doesn't have a blockchain. Besides, Ruja has such impressive credentials. She has degrees from Oxford. She's been featured in Forbes. Hundreds of thousands of people have invested. Surely it can't all be fake. OneCoin leaders tell investors that anyone questioning the project is a hater. They frame all negative media as jealous competitors trying to destroy OneCoin. They say these critics are uninformed, bitter people who missed out and now want everyone else to fail. Unfortunately, OneCoin's cult-like following trusts Ruja blindly. They've been psychologically conditioned not to trust outsiders. Any criticism is dismissed as lies and attacks, but as skepticism grows online, Ruja discovers she's pregnant, and she starts seriously thinking about her exit strategy. By this point in 2016, she's running out of people she can trust. She's paranoid about being betrayed, about being caught, about everything unraveling. So she fires her personal assistant and hires her brother, Konstantin, as her new assistant. Konstantin is a forklift operator and bodybuilder. Until now, he's been completely uninvolved and uninterested in OneCoin, but he can't help noticing how much money his sister is throwing around. She's wearing designer clothes, buying luxury properties, commissioning yachts. So he quits his forklift job and accepts a position at OneCoin. He thinks his sister is helping him, giving him an opportunity. But the dark truth is that Ruja views Konstantin as a solution to her biggest problem. She's setting him up as her fall guy. If everything goes wrong, if authorities come investigating, she can disappear and let her brother take the blame. As long as she keeps Konstantin close, she can eventually frame him for everything. Now, since OneCoin began, Ruja has repeatedly promised everyone that the company is legitimate because it uses blockchain technology. Even most OneCoin employees are kept in the dark about the reality that there is no blockchain. All records are just kept on an SQL database that Ruja can edit at will. The entire point of blockchain is that data is decentralized and cannot be changed by a single person. OneCoin is the exact opposite, but most investors don't understand the technology well enough to realize this. With increased scrutiny now surrounding OneCoin, Ruja decides she desperately needs to create an actual blockchain to quiet the doubters. Of course, she can't ask her own IT team to build it, or else she'd expose herself as a fraud from the beginning. So in September 2016, OneCoin sends a LinkedIn message to Bjorn Bjerke, an expert in helping companies transform old SQL databases into new blockchains. Bjorn has a decade of IT experience with banking systems, and he's a cryptocurrency enthusiast who thoroughly understands blockchain technology. OneCoin offers Bjorn a €270,000 salary plus 2 furnished luxury apartments, one in Sofia and one in London, if he'll help them create a new blockchain. Hearing this offer, Bjorn immediately has questions. How can a cryptocurrency like OneCoin exist and earn billions without already having a blockchain? It doesn't make any sense, but OneCoin insists they need his help. There have been lots of transactions already, they say. They need to incorporate all of that into a new blockchain. Bjorn realizes this is completely impossible. You can't retrofit transactions onto a blockchain that didn't exist when those transactions occurred. The whole concept makes no sense. So Bjorn decides to investigate OneCoin himself before accepting the job. He logs onto the OneCoin exchange website. The site displays what appears to be a live feed of OneCoin's blockchain, showing transactions happening in real time between different wallets. But if there isn't actually a blockchain, what is this display showing? Bjorn decides to test it. He opens 3 computer monitors. 2 are logged into different OneCoin accounts. The third displays the supposed live blockchain feed. He starts transferring random amounts of OneCoin between his 2 accounts, watching the live feed to see if his transactions appear. He tries numbers that are easy to spot, like sending exactly 1.234 coins. He conducts roughly 200 different transactions, trying to track his own movements on the blockchain. He never sees a single one of his transactions on the live feed. The disturbing truth becomes clear. OneCoin's live blockchain display is completely fake. It's nothing more than a script generating random numbers to look impressive. It's just showing fake transactions between imaginary wallets to fool investors into thinking their coins are held securely on a real blockchain. In reality, it's just meaningless entries in a database that Ruja controls completely. No wonder she can double people's coins at will. No wonder she can change the price whenever she wants. It's just a database, not driven by real supply and demand like an actual cryptocurrency. This revelation terrifies Bjorn because it means millions of people own billions of worthless fake coins. He turns down OneCoin's job offer immediately, and instead of staying silent, he becomes one of the key witnesses who will eventually help bring this entire operation crashing down. But by the time authorities finally act, Ruja Ignatova will have vanished from the face of the earth, potentially protected by forces more powerful than any investigator anticipated. Watch the FBI's most wanted list over the next 18 months. If her name disappears, it means either she's been caught or someone far more powerful has ensured she never will be.